Good morning, Final Fantasy Randomizer fans. Welcome to our marathon. I am in the booth with Phoenix, and we're going to be starting off with Soul Blazer Randomizer. In the booth with me is Dented Razor. How you doing this morning, buddy?
Doing pretty well yourself?
I'm doing great, thanks. It's a fantastic Friday morning. The weekend's almost here. It's a glorious day where I live. So
Very
we are
nice
starting
to
off
hear.
with Soul Blazer Randomizer. This is one of my favorite Super Nintendo games, and I was so happy to find that they actually had a randomizer. It was fantastic.
Oh yeah, I discovered it 6 years ago, and 5 or 6 years ago, and it was one of the best surprises I've had.
I think I found it about 6 months ago, and I think I've completed about 5 runs, and absolutely love it. I keep saying I don't have time to do a second game, but yeah, I've made time.
Glad to hear.
So we've got 3 racers that are going to be racing this seed. We're going to start off with a little bit of donations that we've got here. So starting off, first off, we had Red Mage starting off with the big stack of $100, Ray Donovan with $25, and Razor One with $50 with the message Rando Marathon Hype, bringing us to a
Hype.
total of $175 to start. So let's get out there. Let's get those donations up. Let's get that number high.
Sounds good. Absolutely. So we got all the racers ready. We just get right to it, or
Yeah, as soon as they are all ready to go, I believe you're the gatekeeper in the room. So whenever you're ready to kick them off, let's go.
all right. So right to it here. Here we go. Time is coming down, so in about 10 seconds, they're all going to be shoving off into this race. So very excited to see how it all goes on this randomizer. People aren't familiar with the Soul Blaze randomizer. It randomizes basically all the releases that the NPCs that get released from each layer, as well as the items that are in all the chests or from NPCs. So different path for everyone. But first chest right there is always going to be Sword of Life. But basic formula for this game is you'll see they're all defeating enemies from those blinky red dots. Once they defeat all the enemies there, then it turns green and they step on it and it releases something. So either be an NPC in a town or opening up part of a dungeon. So right off the bat, they're into Grass Valley. This is the first area of the game that has a bunch of people you release, as well as some goats and some other tulips as well. So off to a good start here. Taking on some of those there. And right away, they've got an NPC from Area 6, one of the soldiers there, who unfortunately has no checks, but that's okay. There's still a lot to find here. And with this part, path is pretty close to similar. They all start at the first room, then to here. Wow, stone right away as well. Very good to get. And from here, they're either going to paths can go 3 different ways. They'll either go to the second area of the underground castle, or to the third dungeon of this area, or to the next area, Greenwood. So we'll see where it all takes them. Alrighty, they got a couple emblems. They get 8 of those emblems. They'll allow them to get another item later on, but they don't know what it's going to be yet, but hopefully for 8 items they have to find, it's a good one. And a crocodile from Area 2 released. So far, so good. They're doing pretty well. And more emblems they're finding. One thing to note about Soul Blazer, it is an action RPG from 1992, developed by Quintet and released by Enix. So it's one that I played for many years, and a lot of others have. Probably one of the player-friendly RPGs out there. If you lose all your hit points, the only caveat really is you lose your gems, which are your fuels for your spells. But otherwise, you keep your experience and everything else. So it's really good there. So far, I saw the old woman was released here, so that's one of the required NPCs to get to the next area. So far, still looking pretty good. And You may notice right now that a lot of them are holding out their sword rather than swinging the sword. And at level 1 in this game, you do more damage when you hold out your sword versus swinging. But once you get to level 2, then you're fine. And already we got a bubble armor. So that's required. It's a good armor to have at this point in the game, but also you need it to survive underwater. So if you're doing low percent, you kind of have to get creative, but that's a whole different story. So far. See here? There we go, stepping on that slime, and looks like they are going to Greenwood first. As we saw in Ultima Screen, getting the village chief. He's one of the guardians of this world, because in each area of the 6, you need to talk to basically the guardian or leader, which will unlock the way to the next area. And you need to find that from all 6 areas to get to the final area, the world of evil, which is where Death Toll is. That's one of the requirements for go time in this. Then earlier we saw someone get a stone. Okay, steps, that's an important one there for Area 5. But you need all 6 stones to get into the world of evil. Then when you get to the end of that, you'll get there and be like, well, where's Death Toll? Where's he at? Well, you need to find the 3 red hot items, talk to the king of the mountain and his 2 attendants, and get the dancing grandmas going to wake him up. And then finally, to defeat Death Toll, you need to get the best equipment, which is the Soul Blade, Soul Armor, and Phoenix. Best because it's named after Phoenix, but it's all good. But anyways, just trying to get all those items, get that go time as fast as they can. So already see some going to Greenwood. That is the town of animals. So we have there crocodiles, birds, squirrels, dogs. Really neat stuff there. The cool thing about the world map in this game too is when you go to a world, at first it'll look desolate and destroyed, but when you revive the leader, then it looks all happy and pretty. So really neat to see as you progress through this. So far they are neck and neck in terms for our racers. They're going at a great pace. Already got some vines there. Those enemies can be a pain as they do a lot of damage, and when they extend out that vine to do damage, you cannot hit them until it retracts. So you definitely have to be creative in their combat there. And those statues as well you got to deal with. Those teleport and shoot fireballs at you, which is always a fun thing to deal with. And right up there in Ultima Screen, we can see those water dragons. They jump out in one direction, and then you can kind of get them right away there. And Ultima unlocked one of the dungeons in Area 5, the power plant. So far, so good. Looks like Ultima has, right now, the little bit of the lead, though the others are not very far behind him. Dealing with... Wow, those water dragons are really being mean there too. But yeah, both the water dragons and the statues. And that's the thing with they all spawn. They can bunch up pretty big, and then players are dealing with quite a barrage of fireballs while trying to be cautious and take them out quickly to make sure they don't have an accidental defeat. So, doing pretty well there. Oh, Queen Anne. Had one right away there, which is fine. We're still in the race as the randomizer. Once we get to the parts where paths diverge, anyone can still win. Anyone's in this race because the choices matter so much. And Ultima is the first to get into the water shrine. Taking on right away some of those mud people. That's taken care of, and going on further. There we go, and let's see what we get next here. There we go, so that deer, along with that crocodile, when you talk to them, they will ram a tree to bring down a gem that the emblem fairy's in. And when you talk to that fairy and you have all 8 emblems, you'll get an item. So Perhaps we'll see what that fairy has sooner than later. See what the runners decide to check out as they go. More statues. What's with all these statues? Probably one of the difficult parts of getting into this randomizer at first is dealing with unique challenges like these statues, like a big group of those, since the normal game doesn't really present you with quite a combat challenge like that, but it's still pretty fun and one randomizer that I really enjoyed a lot and really gets you a good pace to get in there, and the community is great. Shoutouts to Randomizer.com if anyone wants to get into that. All right, so awesome Queenie got those vines taken care of. We got Axeman taking on the statues over there still, and Ultima. Ooh, Ultima got a nice hint from that soldier. Some of the NPCs give you hints of who has what in the game, and he just found out the Soul Blade is in Area 6, which is held by a sleeping soldier. So a little bit of a wait, but it's really nice when you get a hint like that to know where things are. Okay, still going on pretty well there. And he's catching up pretty well also, and very good. Now, one thing to note, if some of our viewers have watched the randomizer in the past for Soul Blazer and haven't seen it recently, you'll notice the text speed is a little bit faster. Axeman, Master of Taz's, has also done some work on the randomizer, which included faster text speed, a little more opening up of paths, as well as speeding up the time between screen transitions, as well as enemy spawns. So really appreciate the work that he's done for that, as well as taking into account the feedback of others in our great community. Now, sadly, as the chat mentioned, no early spike grind. That is one of the fun discoveries you also get when making or getting into the randomizer. You can possibly get an early Soul Blade and take out each of those spikes from the floor, which give a lot of experience, especially at this point in the game. Got a mole's ribbon from that chest down there from Ultima. And more emblems it looks like we're getting. Queenie's into the basement as well, doing pretty well, getting further. And Ultima is taking on that last... Oh, wow. Axeman and Ultima are right head and head there. Just going pretty quick. And we got Lou the Dolphin, who normally holds a lightning thundering for you in the vanilla game, but we'll see what he actually holds in this game. Chad also mentioned Soul Blazer Archipelago. That is worked on by Tranquilite, another person in the community. Does a very great job there. Wow, we got a light arrow, one of the best spells in the game. It is greatly appreciated for its range as well as the damage output it does and how well it works with large groups of enemies. So very good to get at this point. However, it costs 8 gems each to cast, so it can be tough to just use recklessly. You have to be a little careful with how you kind of use your gems and get those working for you. And a strange bottle. Strange bottle in this game is one of the different kind of items that help you out. When you lose your hit points and get defeated normally in this game, you would lose all your gems. But if you're holding a strange bottle, you get to keep those gems. Ooh, Lucky Blade as well. Wow. So it's almost like a magician run here. The Lucky Blade, when it's equipped, halves the gem cost for all spells. So very useful. Speaking of the developments with Soul Blazer, kind of going back to that archipelago, Tranquilites added really neat features to that, such as open world and being able to change the weapons that our players start with, lots of different features that are fun. And if people aren't familiar with Archipelago, it's a way of running a randomizer that everyone does the same one and gets to team up. So some people have items of the other person has. A real blast. Recommend trying it out. Really lots of fun. Both Axeman and Ultima are very close, with Queenie not too far behind. Go. One caveat to the faster text speed is I really got to keep my eyes open to make sure I see what people are getting. Oh, more emblems. So they have right now pretty good survivability. They have both the. Oh wow, we got X-Man release the Queen, the Guardian, for Area 3. Once he gets up to Area 3, he can progress right to Area 4 after speaking with her. But right now they all have the bubble armor, which provides good protection. Oh, and Axeman also found Phoenix. Didn't know Phoenix was in this game, but that's okay. He's also commentating for you because he works very hard for doing those donations. And Axeman continues on. But yeah, they have both bubble armor and light arrow. Good combination to help them out pretty well. Especially to deal with this glut of statues that they have happening around with them. Phoenix is everywhere. All right, let's see what more of what people have. Ultima is getting the shortcut back to Area 2, back to town. And Axeman is also getting that. Not a bad strategy to do, since if things get a little tricky, then you have that at least opened up. So then if you lose all your hit points, you can quickly get back here. So, and Queenie just released the Dreaming Dolphin of Area 3. If you talk to that dolphin with the Dream Rod, which allows you to enter their dream, but also have the Big Pearl, they'll open up a cave in Area 3 that has 4 items, which we like to call that a hype cave, because it's usually disappointment we find in there, but sometimes it's really good stuff. Getting right in there, and ooh, another stone for the Axeman. So doing pretty well in keeping up with those. Oh, my count so far, we've got 2 stones. Taking out those shadow lizards, which are not as easy to deal with because as they teleport, you cannot attack them. You can, but you're not going to hit them. So normally when they get spawned, then they also have some iframes. Axeman just released the Guardian for Area 2, so now they can get all the way up to Area 4. They have both players. Once players get through the Fire Shrine. And Queenie just found Phoenix as well. Now, Axeman's in the Pac-Man maze, as I like to call it. Since at some point you have to... And it feels almost like a game of Pac-Man, just trying to go all around and just find that last scorpion. But pretty good stuff there. All right, and froze a little bit. I think all the screens here are just frozen in suspense, and we got some movement again. And Axeman is taking on the spirits at the bottom of the Pac-Man room. And let's see what he gets. Mushroom, no checks on that one, but that's okay. There we go. And someone mentioned, is this a jet seed? One thing I will say, in my experience of playing this, played probably about 100 or so seeds, and I'll say you'll have some that really feel like a jet seed, but then the RNG and the randomness of these can really take that down a little bit, and you just realize that some of those items you really need are like finding a needle in a haystack. It really gets tough to find the last part.